Today's video will be a little bit different. First, I'll talk a bit about history. Then I'm going to move on to the beginnings of an experiment of my own. And the experiment is going to continue on for at least the next 10 months while I'm here in South Korea. That way I can try and perfect it. And that's where I need your help. So stick around to the end of the video so that you can help confirm or deny this experiment. So today, gravity. No, not that gravity. This gravity. In the flat earth community, gravity is viewed as a fictional science that hasn't been proven. For anyone watching that agrees with this statement, please continue watching. This video isn't about calling you wrong, it's about providing evidence for or against gravity. And I need your help too. Gravity was first theorized by Sir Isaac Newton and published in his work Principia in 1687. His theory stated that every point of mass attracts every other point of mass by a force, acting along a line that intersects these two bodies of mass. The force is proportional to the product of the two masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the masses. Here you can see the formula and kind of begin to understand what it claims. Force, the value that we are trying to calculate, is equal to the product of the two masses, so multiply them together. Divide this by the distance between the two squared. This is referred to as the inverse square law, meaning the effect two objects have upon each other drops off exponentially by the distance they are apart. This number is then multiplied by what is referred to as big G, the universal gravitational constant, the value of how gravity affects mass. Big G is something that scientists tried to quantify for centuries. Measuring gravity is a tricky thing. It is one of the weakest forces in nature. You may question this, as gravity is what globe believers say holds the oceans to the planet and prevents us from floating away into space. But remember that an upward force, as small as a butterfly's wings, can temporarily overcome gravity's pull. Almost 100 years after Newton's description of gravity, Henry Cavendish was determined to observe and calculate it. In a barn on his residence, Cavendish created an experiment that could be observed from outside, where two objects were held on a torsion bar and would be drawn together by two larger objects. Here is an image of this. Over the following year, he observed and documented how the larger objects pulled the smaller ones towards them. Flat Earth believers will state that this experiment is not valid for one reason or another, and I'm not here to confirm or deny that at this point. But that is the purpose of the experiment that I would like to conduct myself. The equipment I'm going to need is a shower rod, a 5-pound dumbbell, a 40-pound dumbbell, and some twine, along with the observational equipment so that I can see what's happening inside of a room while I'm not in there. Let's take a look how this all came together. One of the first concerns I had when I was trying to identify what equipment I was going to need for this was if the weights I needed would be magnetic or not. Because that could always be used as an excuse or a reason or rationale why the objects were being drawn towards each other. So I actually purchased an EMF meter so that I could try and identify any types of magnetic fields around objects. After I got that, I took it to the store and I tested all of the weights that were available, and I found cast iron weights had no magnetic field around them that I was able to discern. So I purchased one 40-pound and one 5-pound. After I bought the weights, I decided I had to cut them in half. The 40 pounds I cut off right at the stem so it would be just the weights. The 5 pounds I cut right down the center so that there would be a little bit of a handle left for each. Now, the curtain rod that I purchased, the intent was to use it as a hollow sleeve for the arm. The curtain rod itself was a little bit smaller than the handle on the 5 pounds. So what I had to do was take the angle grinder and cut those open a little bit so that I could force the 5 pounds into them and then zip tie them closed. That way they would hold them in place. And these were going to be the primary objects for my experiment. Now, the room where I'm going to have the experiment is a spare room. I'm currently spending a year in Korea. I have a 3-bedroom apartment, 2 of which are being unused. Here you can see that I have the weight attached by paracord to the light. There's supposed to be a shade over that. I took the light off. So it's attached to the ceiling, hung down to the floor. Now, this room has no air current. There are no vents. There are no ducts. The only thing that there is for any type of air is an air conditioner in the ceiling. The heating is all from heating underneath the floor. Now I have the heat turned off on this so that this room is usually about 5 to 10 degrees colder than the rest of the house. And the intent is that I can observe this from outside of the room without having to come in. Now I want to show you a little bit of my first experimentation with this. So this is a video of after my first day of setup. I had had the weights set all night. I had not been in the room at all, but all the cameras were still set up. So this is after a good 12 hours of absolutely no disturbance to this room whatsoever. The entirety of this video is 4 hours long, compressed into about just under 2 minutes. Now you can see I came in and I took out the weights, and there's still a fair amount of motion in there, and I don't know how much of this is because of the experiment and how much of this is because I came in there and disturbed the air. And this is where I need your guys' help. How can I make this experiment better? How can I make this more perfect? My intent is to buy a Lazy Susan and put some kind of a crossbar across so that I can set the weights onto it and spin them away like in the animation I showed earlier. I'm going to try and build a motor with an Arduino so that I can control it from outside the room and spin these weights in so that they can be near the objects. That way I'm not disturbing anything in there. Now I need you. How else can I make this a more perfect experiment to confirm, deny, or refute that this is a viable way to test and evaluate gravity? I've already bought a clock. I'm going to put that in there right under the center so that you can see the time as it goes by. I could put the EMF meter in the screen so that you can see that there is no EMF readings going off. I can move the cameras around. I can go up to 4 cameras and place them anywhere in this room. I just need to build some kind of contraption to put them on. Anything anyone can think of that will help me perfect this experiment and make it a valid test. I welcome all ideas. As long as it doesn't require me spending $1,000 on some special widget, I'm down. Help me, and over the next 10 months, let's see what it does. Since I started this channel, my goal was to put out weekly informative videos on evidence I see in everyday life that confirms the globe Earth. I have several more videos already in the can ready to come out, but I think I'm going to go to a bi-weekly publication. I'll still have something coming out every week, but I think every other week I'm going to do something different. So every 2 weeks is going to be an educational video, and in between is going to be either something experimental like this, or maybe a discussion about somebody else's point of view. Let me know what you think, and if you like my content, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Comments below, and I'm pretty good about responding. Have a flat day.